solo show, and I want to take you along on my little journey to what it was like. I want to show you the opening night, and a little bit of work leading up to it, and just like how everything happened. So I was approached by the lovely Claire at one of my big markets. I think it was the Finders Keepers market. And she was telling me about a little space that she has up in the beautiful King Lake in Victoria, in countryside Victoria. I've always wanted to go there. I've never had a chance to go there, or time, or just never gone. Just never like walked out the door and gone there. So anyway, she told me about her little space. She has a shop with a gallery space attached to it, and she was like, I'm converting it into a gallery. I haven't had any artists exhibit there yet. We're the only gallery in the area for ages, and I'd like to invite you to be our first exhibiting artist. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. I would love to do that. I've had a couple of exhibitions before, never a solo show. It's always been either with one other person, or a small handful of other people, or one piece in a larger group show, but never a solo show. And I've always been like kind of a bit too scared to do a solo show. It feels like a lot of pressure, and I'm not that fancy. I'm just not that fancy. I just like to be in my little cave at home, not talking to anyone. But as we were chatting and getting to know each other over email and that sort of thing, I was like, she gets me and I get her, and the space isn't overwhelmingly large. It's out in the country. It's out like in the forest. Which, if you know me, is like, it's this guy, country forest away from everyone else. The time frame was short, so it all happened pretty quickly. There wasn't much of a lead up. There wasn't much time to create a whole lot of new work. I made little bits and pieces, but the main hurdle was framing, getting things framed really quick. And in a really nice quality material. I was like, if I'm going to get them framed, I might as well do it in a nice way. I might as well get them done properly. And I did get them done properly, and it was very stressful. It was very stressful, mainly because of the short turnaround. Usually framers are like, 3 to 5 weeks or 3 to 7 weeks to get something framed, especially if there's multiple items. And I was like, you have 2 weeks. I have 2 weeks, or less than 2 weeks, because I need to get it to the place in 2 weeks' time. And I got them framed at 2 different places, and they both were like, we do this for artists. We make sure we have enough space in our schedules to accommodate for artists who are on like a time frame or on a timeline that is a bit stressful. And that's just also the story of my life. I don't really get things done until the last minute. So that was great. The framers that I used were really great, and I can't recommend them enough. I used a framer called Southern Boy in Mornington, and another one in Dramana called Dramana Picture Framers. And so good. If you're Mornington Peninsula based, they're amazing. Really good humans and really good quality stuff. So that was lovely. And they look so nice. The framed artworks look so good. I actually had to drop off a lot of my paintings to get framed before I had time to actually finish them off. Some of the pieces that I dropped off to get framed hadn't actually been like sealed or varnished in any way, or like they had moved house with me and I had scratched them or just didn't store them properly, and stuff was going on that needed like touch-ups. So I had to drop them off before I had done any of those things, which was a bit stressful because the framers were like, we can get them done by Monday on this date. And that was the Monday that I needed to drive 2 hours from my place to King Lake to deliver them to Claire, to the Humble Gallery, to the Humble Trader Gallery. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have a busy Monday for a couple hours, or I'm going to be having to like seal them or touch them up in the car while my partner Thomas is driving. But luckily, everything was done on the Friday and Saturday before the Monday. So I had the weekend to touch stuff up. So, you know, it was kind of nice going back and touching them up, but it was also scary because I had to make sure none of the frames got ruined or tainted from my paint or from my sealing, my varnish spray thing. I did have issue with one of the varnish sprays. I got like a really nice apparently really nice quality varnish, which is a matte sealant, and it's specifically designed for acrylics and gouache and stuff like that. But the spray bottle was a bit broken, so it wasn't spraying very well or very evenly. It was very spotty. So I had to do like tons of layers for it to even out. And there was another piece as well, which it cracked. Like all of the painting cracked or like went funny and crazed underneath the varnish. And I was like, oh no. So I ended up doing like a couple of layers of a different brand in varnish, and it came good. It just like looks a little bit sparkly because of the way the light hits the little cracks, which are like under 3 or 4 layers of varnish. But you can't tell. It just looks like a little bit sparkly, and I kind of like that. And I also spent a lot of time creating little certificate of authenticities for each artwork. So it just has like title, medium, year created, and I have another little sheet which I sign, and it just has like a care guide attached to it. So I had to make tons of those, like 20 of those. I ended up having about 20 artworks or so in the exhibition. Yeah. So anyway, I ended up managing everything. I ended up getting everything done, got all my paintings ready, ended up having about 20 works on canvas, on clayboard, on wood, a couple of pieces on paper, and I also gathered some ceramics, and I also brought with me some of my Geekly art prints, my high quality art prints, to bring as well for those who can't afford an original, which is completely valid because who can afford originals these days? So I brought those sort of smaller things for people like that who wanted to get something and support. Packed the car really, really well, did not bang anything around. It was all very safe, secure. We used a lot of towels and a lot of quilts in between for maximum safety and maximum precaution of safely delivered goods. And off we went on our little road trip. It was like a 2-hour drive to King Lake, and it was a beautiful drive. The landscape is just gorgeous. I'm a sucker for fields and trees and cows and horses and goats and stuff. I say hello to all of them when I drive past them. And yeah, we made it to the little gallery and dropped off the artwork, said hi to Claire, and had a wander around the store, and left her to it. I'm not really good at like deciding where things should go, or like, also I just trust Claire to do it herself and come up with something really nice and a really nice flow of the artworks and that sort of thing. So we kind of just like left it at that, saw an old friend from high school who lives in the area, and then came back home. And later in that week, on Friday, was the opening night. So it was just like a very small event. Only a few people were invited to join us, and there was amazing food, and there's some nice music, and friends came, newborn baby cuddles were had, and giggles and bubbles and hugs and kisses, and I did a little speech, which was very nerve-wracking. Public talking is scary, and like one of my greatest fears ever, all through high school and university and all that kind of stuff. I would be that kid who would never do the oral presentations. I would do it privately in the teacher's office later or beforehand. I was that kid. So I did a little public speaking. Thanks for coming, everyone. It's pretty scary showing your work to the world, to people who look at it with their eyes in front of you. I've been working on this stuff for like the last couple of years. When I moved to Emerald, I moved to the forest. So it's all kind of like me being in the forest and having just the best time in the forest. I was like a suburb kid, and then like I always wanted to live in the forest for my whole life. So it's that, and I'm a massive introvert, so there's a lot of like being alone and like being like, but also like excited and happy and okay about being alone in these works and that sort of thing, and celebration of colour and leaves and flowers and curvy bodies. It's gorgeous. I mean, you could tell I was nervous and I blethered about some things, I guess, but I think making YouTube videos and content in general has helped so much with my ability to talk about myself and my work and talk in front of other people and not be weird or awkward or run off crying and shriveling into a small prune thinking about it for 11 years solid. Relatable, I know. Anyway, it was a really beautiful opening and I was just smiling the whole time, and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for making art that people want to see, making art for myself, making art first and foremost about me, about my experiences, with this baggage of trial and error and practice and play and experimentation and years of doing those things, bringing them into a room and showing them off to some people in a room. It's so, let alone the internet. But yeah, just, it feels different in person, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, that was nice. That's it. That's my nice little exhibition thing. Oh, pricing artwork is hard. Pricing artwork is hard, and there's no like algorithm that helps you with it that I have discovered. Yeah, anyway, pricing is hard. Don't ask me about it. It's hard. Let's move on. Thanks for coming to my solo show exhibition opening, which I titled A Forest Stroll. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I just want to say a great big thank you to my patrons. I would paint your faces with love hearts if I could. Love you. See you in the next video. Enjoy, and go to King Lake, visit the Humble Trader Gallery if you're in Victoria. You will enjoy it. I know it. Okay. See ya.